Hey, hey, hey! Welcome back to the Pitch. That is the season. We're always going to be here to talk about it.
It continues.
It continues. The ups and downs, the flips, the flops.
Big flops. Let's be real. Yeah, interesting weekend. Some suspense, some drama. You know, there still is wide opening for top four right now, which plenty of teams are still in. There's a wide opening for the relegation battle, which one team, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about shortly here, is looking keen to possibly taking that spot while others are climbing. Where would you like to begin?
I feel like I probably got to start Arsenal. Just a weird week.
Weird week. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's start from the top, right? 2 games in essentially, 4 days? And could have been worse. Start there.
It could have been worse, you know? Yeah, you know, go away to Wolves. Still on track to be one of the lowest point-getting teams ever. So you would think it's a smooth sail for Arsenal. And for the most part, it was. Like, that first half was very much a total domination. Like, it
Right.
looked like Wolves didn't know what to do. Arsenal probably should have capitalized more than they did. But, you know, it was still an Arsenal dominant performance.
Until
the Arsenal seems to have a I don't know if you want to call it a habit or just we're gonna call it a habit. I feel like that's the closest word I got, but the habit of scoring and then sometimes pretty quickly, but often at least within 10-15 minutes letting the other team score. So here we are, you know, go up 2-0, 30-ish minutes left. It's looking great. Hugo Bueno, lovely hit. Almost immediately, 4 or 5 minutes after? Which is, you know, it was a good hit. Those will happen, regardless of the quality of the team, right? So
professionals will score goals. And that's one of those cases here.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't feel like there was anything to worry about at that point. Just like more annoying to give up the clean sheet and let Wolves score against you, I guess. But then it just completely flipped. It was like Arsenal just was like, well, you're not the worst team. We're going to be the worst team.
I wish we could see touches in the second half. Because Wolves had to have dominated the second half touches. I mean, it's pretty even in the end. Wolves are about 130 touches behind.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it was mostly like it felt like the Wolves were going to find a way to do it and at least get the draw. And, you know, I would argue that Arsenal let the draw happen. I think if Arsenal would have, you know, hit the gas a little more and tried to find another goal, I think it would have been possible, right? I think I don't
even think Arsenal need to like try and find another goal. Just not just kick it long and let Wolves come straight back. Just have a little bit of that, exert some of that force and control again, and you know you might find a goal in it. But at least Wolves are not just having the ball for the last 30 minutes,
right?
So yeah, and then you know right at the death, basically. Defensive blunder, I guess. You know,
huge communication error.
Yeah, I'm sure both players are calling for it, but I think you know Gabriel at times can just be, I guess maybe emotional in his decision making, and I think because Arsenal has given up late goals just kind of throughout the season, I think you know he probably kind of in his head was like, well. Okay, I'm not going to let this one slip, so I'm going for every ball. I'm doing it, which is a good quality to have at times, but also when your keeper is there and I assume calling for the ball, maybe just let him take that one. Or Raya, I'm sorry, but you got to blast your friend in the back of the head and get that ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely looks like Raya held up a little bit because he was going to clash. I mean, that's his ball all day. No defenders around, in the air. You go and get it at the highest point. Even if you don't essentially catch the ball, putting a good punch on it. Even if there's a Wolves defender around, goalkeepers are usually going to get the safety foul against them if there is contact while jumping. And then it was just, the ball was in no man's land, right? And people are saying, why was Raya positioned there? It's like, well, I don't think he could backpedal fast enough to get to his back line.
No.
He wasn't going to turn around and sprint there and turn his back to the ball. I mean, he kind of just had to get big in that position. And, it was a hell of a strike. It was straight power. And, to call it an own goal was harsh.
I don't think it was.
Oh, they ruled it. They originally ruled it an own goal.
Originally, yeah.
They did change it?
I think they changed it now.
Oh, good.
I think, calling it an own goal
yeah,
was
they
pretty
did.
harsh. But
They did, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, like, for this specific game, right, it kind of serves Arsenal, right? Like, they let the Wolves kind of come in and do it. It's just the timing of when this game is. Being a game ahead now of everyone else, but like still dropping points, and City's on your tail, and the pressure of the internet, the media, everyone.
Oh my god!
The doom and gloom is real.
The doom and gloom in previous games that did not result in a win, and this one was like, it was like we got relegated or something. It was crazy.
I mean,
but at the same time. That we've seen all season, this Arsenal team, it is not and was never going to be the smooth sailing all the way to the end, 3 points every game. Like, there's been a good handful of okay to bad performances, and generally they get through that okay. But this will happen. I do feel like this was probably one of the bigger wake-up calls that Arsenal has had. Whether that's down to all the noise now around the title race, or, I mean, I'm sure they recognize that they've had opportunities to go up, 9 points or whatever, and still have not done that. So, it was a dark few days between Wednesday and Sunday?
I mean, and then you come into the weekend and you're like, we can't lose this game.
Yeah, that was my only I was optimistic going into the Spurs game anyway, but I think I went from like optimistic to like cautiously optimistic after the Wolves game, just because now it's a much bigger game, right? Like, of course Spurs will want to get a win over Arsenal anyway, but now they have the new manager, and it's like, we don't know what he's really putting out. And then now it's like, if Arsenal lose this, not only is that a real hamper on the title race, but then you hand Spurs the unofficial trophy of like, you maybe stopped Arsenal from winning this whole thing, which is just like, it just became a bigger game than it needed to be. So that was my only like apprehension going into the game of it made it scarier than it ever should have been.
Oh, for sure. And being in a house with an Arsenal fan, it's definitely, I gave a lot of looks like, you guys, if you lose this game, it's gonna look really bad. I mean, Tottenham right now is, we can kind of say it, the worst team in the Premier League. I mean, even the Wolves are putting up better numbers in 2026, I imagine, point wise. So
I don't think Tottenham's won a game in 2026.
Ooh, a little fact check here.
I think I saw that this weekend. So Wolves
looks to be right.
Won within the past few weeks, right?
Yeah, the Tottenham has acquired 4 points in 2026.
It's going great.
That's crazy. That's crazy work. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, and I'm sure the Wolves have probably passed that total. Oh yeah, they had I see at least a victory on the board with some draws. So there you go. I mean, Tottenham. We expected Arsenal to win. They did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tottenham now is. I see a lot of messages about Tottenham saying that they're not going to get relegated. Like, this is going to happen. But you just got to go. You got to think. Who are you better than right now? Right? You're probably better than the Wolves. Probably, but maybe not. And then the other teams below them, I take Burnley. I take West Ham. I take most of those teams all day.
I think, part of there's a lot of issues, but I think, you compare them to Wolves, and like we've said in recent weeks, Wolves have nothing to play for, so they can just go out and just play, right? Where now Tottenham has that pressure of like, well, we need to win. We need the points just to stay out of the relegation fight. And kind of the same with West Ham is like, they've been in that fight the whole season and finally are finding some good form. So I think they're going to do what they can to ride that and get out, obviously. Forest may be in a similar boat to Tottenham, but I don't know. I think Forest and Tottenham is your toss-up right now. Burnley, I think, you're probably relegated, but I think they are kind of that plucky team that still wants to prove something and at least take some wins off some Premier League teams, especially like established Premier League teams. So, they're in a tough spot. Bring a new manager. I don't really know much about him, but in the stuff I've been seeing, it's like he has saved some teams from relegation in other leagues, so I think that's maybe what they're banking on.
I mean, the big ask from those teams though is, will they buy into what he's saying? And after seeing some highlights of this game, looked like no one gave a shit what he was saying.
It was a weird one because Arsenal had 3 games in the 12 days that Spurs didn't play or something like that, so they had a new coach, I think, pretty much for the week leading up to it. So you have a week to work with these players, and sure, tactics won't be fully fleshed out and all that. And you are going through, a lot of injuries, so players will be out of position. But I felt like Tottenham started well enough. Like they were definitely kind of on the front foot and were good at closing Arsenal down. But then once Arsenal figured out how to play through that, Tottenham just didn't adjust.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of kept running and leaving Arsenal players in open spaces. And some of that might just be down to like players being out of position, so they don't exactly know instinctually of like where they should be covering, or if it's worth the step to this player or just hold my space. But I don't know. This felt like a game that both teams needed to win for their own seasons. For Arsenal, hopefully it's a little, restart into some better form. And for Tottenham, a win, I think, I don't know if it would have turned their season around, but
big safety net.
And I think would have brought a little bit more belief into the club than has been for most of the season.
Yeah, of course. Beating the top seeded team in the table as you're, fighting for relegation, that goes a long way, both mentally and emotionally in the dressing room, right? To win that rivalry between the two teams. It's just, you're right. Players are playing out of position. They essentially have their C2B team out there.
Mm-hmm.
I will give it to them though. Like when they scored and they bounced back against Arsenal, and I was like, okay, this is not over in any way, shape, or form. This game is gonna get interesting. I think we have to talk a little bit about the flop from Gabby and what that kind of I guess didn't lead to for Tottenham, because I hope you agree that was a major flop, and it's not the first time we've seen it this season go for or against a team. Again, it was 2 hands in the back. Did he give a little push? Maybe, kind of. But the way he just like flies forward is just egregious.
It's always the like legs
The
shooting
legs.
out under you.
It's always the legs and like the quick
Yeah.
flick up that makes it look more ridiculous. Honestly, if he didn't do the leg flick, it would look so much more believable.
Yeah. I think this was one of those where, because there was like some level of like arm extension, whether it was actually like push into that or not, ref I guess saw that and called the foul based on that. But I think had he not caught that and VAR reviews the goal, I don't think they would have called that a foul. So it was one of those of like, ref maybe got it wrong, but VAR won't step in because like they're okay with it, but it also be okay on the other side of the coin too. So funny to do it against Spurs and ruin any sort of momentum it caused, but it's the flops of any player, any team, even your own, is not something you ever really want to see in the game. And it's,
Well,
I can't be too upset about it because it worked out in the end, but like
it's more about
was clear,
consistency, right? Like, I mean, this did happen to Spurs against Liverpool when Ekitike got up. But again, I say that's fair game. Like, be stronger, be in the air with him. It sucks you're on both sides, or I guess the wrong sides of both these calls. But at the same time, this isn't about dogging on you. It's about dogging the consistency of how we rule these cars. And now, when we saw just quick flash forward, when we saw Man United and Everton, I don't know if you've seen the stills of them in the box. Mm-hmm. It's a medieval fight. Everyone's literally holding each other and pinning each other all over the place, but that's not a foul. It's like, so what are we doing here? But anyway, Arsenal still won, easily. Would that game have been an easily won game if it was 2-2? I still think so, right?
I think it would have, still ended up a Arsenal win. But I think that would have been a real testing period for Arsenal to overcome that swing of momentum and overcome just that mental factor of like, oh, well, we've given these goals away before and haven't been able to come back. Like, can we do it now? Again, the team looked up for it, so I think they could have at least got that third goal and been okay. But a 4-1 earlier in the season, a 4-1 later in the season, it's all balanced out now. It's great.
If you think so, I mean, I'm on team don't let City win. I don't care at this point if it's you guys, if it's Villa, hell, United. See what you can do. I just don't want City to win this. And I don't really understand why everyone else is okay. Like, everyone's like, yeah, like, screw Arsenal. We don't want them to win. I'm like, but do you see who's right behind them? And we got to do that all over again? That's my confliction here. I don't want anyone to win but my team. Like, honestly, that's how it should be. Yeah. But if it's got to be somebody, again, not City. Not City is the goal and the reign. I don't know.
Like every season, it's just like, not City, please.
Yeah, like, geez. So, good win. Happy for y'all to beat Tottenham. I feel for Tottenham a little bit just because of the way that goal got disallowed. But that is, in the grand scheme of things, you're putting out a back line of Dragusin, Van de Ven, and our boy Polina, who is in no way or shape a center back. So you get what you put out, right? It's
and it's kind of incredible how much worse Polina looks as a center back.
Oh man, he's just not. I get it, right?
Yeah,
he shouldn't be there. He needs to be the central hub of the midfield and protecting his defenders, not being there. So, and Dragusin, man, love the name, love the stats you put out, but he looks like he's a deer in headlights at times. Great long throw. He's got that going for him. Yeah. And I do like what he's telling the ball boys. I don't know if you caught this mid-game, but he was telling the ball boys, start drying the balls off for me. So when it goes out of bounds, I just get your ball. I don't know if that's allowed. I know ball boys are supposed to put the balls on the cones, but just something I caught that was interesting, and other teams are doing that. Pre-drying the ball before the ball's even out of bounds. But I mean, here we are, man. Tottenham 4 points away from relegation. What do we got?
4 points away.
11 games to go.
They go away to Fulham next. Then they host Crystal Palace. And then they go away to Liverpool. So just in those 3 games, they're not easy.
Not easy. Definitely points can be attained. But if you haven't won in 2026, I don't know if it's going to be those games.
Well, you're running out of games to do it in. So
that's true too. Do they play the Wolves?
I think later.
But
if I remember correctly.
But see, the Wolves are throwing anything out there. They got no pressure.
Yeah, they play Wolves late April away at Wolves. So again, yeah, Wolves with no pressure. Wolves are just, they want to, both for player and fan, I think, just want to have a nice day. So score some goals. If they get the win, even better. But I don't think they're gonna ever go out and just lay down and let you run through them. You got to work it a little bit, and teams have obviously done it, but I mean, we'll see what Tottenham looks like in April, but currently I'd say there's not a lot of threat and domination to roll a team over like that.
Right. Yep. I agree with that 100%. All right, I only got a couple things to say with Liverpool if you're good with jumping over there. Stressful game, right? Never going 0-0 into the 80th minute. Forest has always been a bogey team for us. I feel like in the last couple of years, they've always put up tough fights. Definitely snuck some points in. I believe, I think Forest grabbed the win against us earlier this season.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, they kicked our butts. 3-0. Oh yeah, that was a tough one to witness. But this game felt okay. It's crazy how much the ball needs to be at Szoboszlai's feet in order for something to happen. I guess we just jumped to the fun stuff. The McAllister goal, handball. Well, let's go the disallowed first goal to put Liverpool up.
Yeah,
calling that a handball is shocking, considering we've seen other balls hit literally hands, fingers, forearms extended out from the body and it not be called a handball.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to do there? What, let's be honest. If his hands are at his side, his elbows are touching his rib cage. The ball hits the bottom of the sleeve on his elbow.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of faults in that handball law. Because, here I don't think it's anything about his positioning or posture. It's just that it results in a goal, right? So that's the one thing they've been, I'll say, mostly consistent on, of if it hits hand and results in a goal, it's disallowed. But again, he's literally jumping turned away from the ball and the ball just gets kicked into him.
Back turn.
You could argue this is one of those acceptable situations for it to be a goal.
It didn't make a lot. I understand that you can't handball it into a goal, or the player can't use their hand and then immediately score. Something needs to happen in between. But he wasn't the one who necessarily, I guess, was at fault for the handball. I mean, to me, that's not a handball. It's hitting the back of his arm. Yeah. Him having long sleeves makes it trickier, maybe, to be well, it could have been below the elbow. I don't think it was, after watching it many, many times. It's more so that his arms were touching his body, right? Because if you're in a wall and you're defending the ball and you jump up and your arm's at your body and say you turn your back and it hits the back of your elbow, they're not calling that a handball. They're not calling that a PK. Yeah. That was tough. That was tough to just sit there and accept. And luckily, it didn't take out any momentum. I was pretty shocked that the team wasn't deflated or kind of just accepting The draw there, we kept pushing forward, and great dummy long throw by Joey G. Again, putting the ball at the feet of Szoboszlai to then whip it in. When teams pressure like that, similar to Wolves and Arsenal, goals are just going to inevitably find their way in the back of the net because of the scrappiness and sloppiness that happens in a box when you just keep pumping them in. And that's what happened. It's crazy. McAllister essentially did it again from the same play, same spot. And getting 3 points there was critical to our top four push. Sure. And seeing United kind of finding ways to win, Chelsea being struggling a little bit, we have to stay with those two teams. Villa falling off a little bit too helps. It'll make that kind of final push interesting. But we have to get Champions League this season, as teams are knocking on the door for McAllister and Szoboszlai and trying to, hell, maybe even pry Wirtz away. If they're saying your team didn't even qualify and they spent all this money, it's like, look, we'll pay Liverpool now. They got to rebuild a little bit. They're going to get rid of Slot. There's so many what ifs that could happen to this team.
Sure.
So getting Champions League is critical, I think, in order to keep the core. Would it shock me if McAllister left? Not really. He's been there for a couple years and he's kind of been in and out of the bench. But Szoboszlai is the main guy right now. We can't afford to lose him. I don't know what our season would look like if we didn't have him. I don't think we'd be fighting for top four. I think a lot of people would agree with that, no matter what team you support. But this win, last minute grab, it's kind of been like our theme of the season. I'm happy about it. I'm also a little critical that it took us this long against a 17th place team to find a goal. It's one of those, hey, a win's a win, let's take it and run. But we have to look back and say, okay, what could we have done differently there? And the answer is, I think it's just being much more much more of a threat in that final third, instead of kind of just dribble, find a player, shot, blocked. That seems to be like what's happening. Let's get back to our roots here. Let's get some more counters going. But again, win's a win. And now we go on to West Ham. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, I feel like we've handled West Ham in the past pretty easily. Again, this is a slightly different West Ham that we've seen. I would say we're going to win this game and be okay. For West Ham's sake, they need to win every game, or at least get draws from it. So if it gets tight at the end and West Ham grabs the draw, it wouldn't shock me either. But for Liverpool's sake, the win is so important.
Liverpool should win this game. I just think, just because West Ham has recently rediscovered how to play, basically.
Right.
That's the only kind of bogey on them. But I think Liverpool should be fine. Liverpool at home typically plays, I think more on the front foot, more wanting to score and find ways to do it earlier. So should be fine. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight Szoboszlai's patience on that last delivery in. I think the Forest player probably should have just jumped down him real quick, since it was so late in the game. But Szoboszlai just almost had a force field around him. He's just I'll just wait it out and send this ball right back to where the last almost goal happened, and you guys again failed to defend it. But it was a nail biter for sure, but that's how it has to go sometimes.
Oh, and the fact that we were onside too, because on the initial viewing, right, it was Aina. He was behind Virgil. Couldn't even see him. Didn't even know he was there. And then the inch, probably less than an inch of a toe being onside. Just game of inches. I'm shocked that wasn't called off. Just by the way, TK was clearly offside and did, it's funny, he did kind of push into someone while the ball was in the air. And they could have easily called that obstruction while in an offside position.
I was surprised it wasn't talked about more, at least publicly. Maybe in VAR they did discuss it a brief second, but um, I feel like with the way that Liverpool has been refed before with obstructing view and all that,
It wouldn't have
that
shocked
was
me, right?
yeah, exactly.
Because this one looked so clear that he was
Mhm.
offside. I would have been circling him and watching every movement he did. But if I'm a Forest fan, I'm definitely a little perturbed. But I'm also saying, hey, that McAllister goal probably should have been a goal. So
Yeah,
is it a makeup call? It shouldn't be, but it might. But it might have been. It might have
yeah,
been. So yeah, cool. That's the Liverpool summary of the weekend. So not a bad one, but it could be much better. Yeah.
yeah. Man, after Newcastle's midweek, just like I know it's car bag, but like Anthony Gordon scoring 4 goals, I thought they were gonna be jazzed up, ready to play this City team, and
A little
not
bit of a
quite.
letdown. A little bit of a letdown. It makes you think that some of these teams who are just not going to be in any type of Champions League battle or relegation fight, but they're in tournaments, right? They're in these
Yeah.
either Conference League or Europa or Champions League are going to put it all there. I think we saw a
Mhm.
little bit of that here.
Yeah.
Um, Newcastle's looking pretty good in Champions League. Like they're about to move
Yeah.
on and go to the round of 16. So it's cool to see Premier League teams kind of battling in this. And I guarantee 100% this game, if this was the Champions League matchup, way different game, right?
For sure. Yeah.
I don't like it's more of the tactics, if anything, right? It's again, I don't want to say Newcastle is saving themselves. Maybe they're thinking they're going to play City in the next round. I think that can be a
I
possibility.
think so. Yeah.
So maybe teams are just playing a little bit more careful against potential
Could be.
bigger matchups they might have in the future. Because what Castle's sitting 36 points, 11th place. They're fine. They're not going to get relegated.
Yeah.
They're not going to get to top four. They're, I think, pretty content with how their offseason went to be there. But yeah, I did want them to take it to City a little bit more.
Yeah. I think it's just for O'Reilly to kind of be open twice and almost score the same goal twice is just like obviously there's a gap in your defensive structure there, and you know City found it and took advantage. I know I forget who it was. Someone had a late shot for Newcastle, and of course Donnarumma, being Donnarumma, saves it. So bummer from an Arsenal perspective, but I think considering how both teams' seasons have been, probably the result that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I was hoping.
Yeah, I know. We'll hope every week. Who does City have next?
Uh,
Leeds.
oh, that could be spicy.
Nothing easy there. And the way City has been kind of rolling out lately, like, yeah, they're winning these games, but they've always been kind of a not a struggle, just not the same City we've seen over the years, right?
Yeah.
So their goals look a little different. I understand different player base, but maybe they'll fit into Leeds new mentality where City's not going to just outpossess you all game. You will have opportunities to find the ball and score. Because I mean, really, City has not had a ton of clean sheets this year.
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of check who'd be the biggest one in our league. Yeah, we don't have a consistent defender.
No, not a consistent one. But you just look at their goals against is 25. Arsenal at 21. I think City in past seasons is probably a little bit lower than that.
11. They're at 11.
11 clean sheets. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we've seen all season. It's just not the same City. I think they are kind of finding like a new formation or form. Like here they've had Holland and Marmoush up top again, which we haven't seen in quite a long time. Rodri's coming back up to speed. So, they're going to stick around, unfortunately. But I think, yeah, just I'm saying you play Cherky as your Kevin De Bruyne figure. This team would be better, but Pep don't want to do it. So, which is fine for everything except my fantasy team. But
Right, right. Speaking of clean sheets, kind of crazy stat. It goes David Raya with 13, Donnarumma with 10, but one of those games City has 11 total. 10 clean sheets to Dean Henderson.
They started so good.
Gosh, is this just a beginning of the season?
I think so.
Inflated number.
For the most part, I think so, because they started, very good, and were up in that top 6 for it felt like the longest time, and
Yeah.
Then everything just kind of went off the rails with drama and injury and AFCON,
But now they're sitting pretty. They're not going to get relegated, which is crazy because
they're back fighting for 12th, which is where they like to be. So,
it wouldn't shock me if they, inch into top 10.
Yeah.
Which is just wild to say because of where they were literally, 4 weeks ago when we were voting between them, Tottenham, and Forest for relegation. So I guess props to them for climbing, but still a long way to go.
Yeah. I mean, they got the win over Wolves here fairly late, so that's good. That's what you need to do, get the win. I don't think we're ever going to see them turn it around completely, but hopefully they can at least just cause some problems for other teams. They got United next, so United's on a 9-game unbeaten streak at the moment. Palace, you could put a stop to it. Let's do it.
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if they did that. Again, Man United's been scoring goals very late and with a touch of luck. But they're bringing on their super subs who are kind of just outbursting everyone, right? Which is great. That's what you want from your substitutions. It does make you wonder if United was down early, how their tactics would change a little bit. We still don't really know Carrick's overall game plan as a coach and kind of what he's doing. He brings in Sesko and he finds a way to score. Realistically, United probably should have lost against West Ham a week ago. Found a way to get in. Everton was looking pretty much like a draw for a majority of that game. Sesko finds a way. Again, great runs, right? You can't deny the runs they're making, but there are cracks there, and I think against some better opponents, it will get found out. I mean, it was West Ham and Everton, right? And we haven't said the greatest things about those teams this season, but still quality. They still had to try, and even United trying is barely scraping by these teams. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I think they'll be happy with how they've been performing and where they're sitting on the table now after suffering through Amorim for a season and a half. But I think you're still kind of just this. I think Michael Carrick just came in and just is playing players in their correct positions, basically, and just kind of letting it go from there, which is working because, again, these are all top level professionals. You put them in the right position, a team in a normal shape that they're used to, I think you will get these results. But I think this West Ham and Everton game, I think you are seeing some of the maybe lack of depth in their tactics, I guess. We'll see how they continue to go. I mean, they host Palace next, but then the week after that they go away to Newcastle. So generally that's a tough game for most teams. So we'll see. We'll see what they're made of.
All right, I think we jumped to Chelsea here because they've been kind of fascinating me lately, and they're about to go on an interesting stretch of games. Chelsea's been fake good. Right? They find ways to win, but let's look at their last 4 EPL wins, right? Palace, who's been in shambles. West Ham had a red card. The Wolves, makes sense. Draw against Leeds, draw against Burnley. Okay? we're about to go into Chelsea playing Arsenal, Villa, Wrexham, and Newcastle, all while possibly playing Newcastle again in Champions League when we hit the next round. So
Yeah.
I think this is Chelsea's time to possibly. Oh, and I can keep going. Everton, City, United. So like, really, this is the tough stretch of games that we're going to see out of Chelsea here.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of PK goals from them, not a lot of open play goals. I guess as a EPL fan, great names, right, from pretty much top to bottom, but they still find a way to let other teams sneak in, and I feel like this is going to be their crash out. I don't think they're going to push forward in Champions League because they've just been so inconsistent. If they are going to go against Newcastle, I could see Newcastle having momentum and going in there and possibly beating them.
Yeah.
I just think now is we're going to see a fall from them, and this is where other teams can kind of take their spots in the table. It's nice to see a resurgence from Palmer, but again, it's been mostly from the PK spot. So if you're just looking at pure stats, that's what you're seeing. I don't know, man. I feel like Chelsea is on paper, they look fine. On the table, they look fine. But if we like put a magnifying glass to it, it's not going to look good at the end. Do you agree with that take?
Yeah, I think they're still a little bit like where like Maresca kind of found his starting 11 and started to find some success with that. I think you're now kind of back to finding that 11 again, but then also having the issue of like having so many players, so you gotta find the right combination of so many different players and different positions. So yeah, I think it is a very like make or break couple of weeks, and then now with Fofana getting a red card, are red cards back in the Chelsea rotation?
Feels like it.
Which we saw that earlier. It felt like almost every game they were getting a red card, which not only makes it more difficult in the game, but the following games when you're now out of play, or it makes your selection easier. I don't know, but yeah, I think they're just in a weird spot. Like Palmer is, getting back to his best, I guess, but certainly not in the same way that we've seen him in the past of like kind of being that guy, right? I struggle to see like where consistent goals will come from. Like João Pedro will score every now and then, but then he kind of goes flat. Pedro Neto is like mostly just a speed demon down the wing. I feel like he doesn't really offer much more than that, and I could say the same for Garnacho. Like they both have goals in them, but I think it's few and far between. I think recently it feels like a lot of goals have come from Enzo, and that's just being like coming late into the box or finding that like scrappy kind of goal. So yeah, I don't know, and it just feels like still a team with not a for sure identity, I guess. So I think that'll cause some issues moving forward, especially when you come up against some stronger opponents, or deeper in the cup when you need to perform. I don't know. They will be interesting to watch. It's not an easy schedule by any means, and they do still kind of feel like one of those teams where like if it goes poorly at Arsenal, that could compound poorly into Villa, and then into Newcastle. Like it feels like it could snowball really quick with this team.
I mean, the Arsenal Chelsea game is probably going to be the primetime game of the weekend. Just going to kind of look forward to see what the weekend is looking like. But for me, I mean that's two big names in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be the highlight game, and that's probably Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
So I mean, are you coming in cautiously with this one too, or are you feeling like, yeah, we should probably handle this and all move forward?
Um, I feel like it'll be handled pretty well. Like we just played them in what, the Carabao Cup. I think we played them twice. Um, kind of let them come back in the first leg, but second leg we were already up a goal going into it, and kind of just played our game, and they didn't really pose enough threat to make it much of an issue. And Arsenal still got the goal in that anyway, and now Arsenal at home, which has been a pretty strong fortress all season. I think Chelsea will come energized and like ready to go, but I think Arsenal should also have that same momentum after a big North London derby into just like another London derby. So um, I think it should be pretty straightforward for Arsenal.
And you get to go after City, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty big. Um, I mean, yeah, it'd be weird if Arsenal didn't take this away, but man, the domino effect of if Chelsea win this game and City,
Yeah.
find a way to win, it definitely makes this table even more interesting going into next week.
Oh, geez.
And then we're finding out next week what Champions League draws are happening. So we expect at this point all Premier League teams to move on. It's just Castle, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. That is playing in the playoff.
Yeah, I believe so.
So unless Carabag does something crazy this afternoon, we'll see what 6 teams in the round of 16. So the odds
Yeah.
of a Premier League team going against a Premier League team are pretty high.
Yeah.
Who will it be? It's probably going to be Arsenal and City. Like, let's just be honest. That's probably
Yeah.
what's going to happen. But I would love to see, I think a Newcastle Chelsea would be really interesting. Or teams who are playing each other soon in Premier League, so they can kind of scout it out and what they throw out.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that a little bit, but yeah, I guess we'll know. I think they do the draw on the 3rd, March 3rd.
Okay.
So after the weekend, we'll know a little bit more. But then again, does it show? Does Chelsea isn't necessarily going to make the title this season, but do they show all their cards in hopes they play Arsenal? A lot of what ifs. Champions League's making this thing really interesting here as we're all still sticking around.
Yeah. I think Chelsea will have to come and kind of lay it all out there, right? You're sitting in 5th right now, but only 3 points off United, but level with Liverpool. You'll have your eye on Villa because you go play them next. So if they draw or lose this weekend with go away to Wolves, so it should be okay. But I think unfortunately for them, they're kind of in a position where they got to go for this just as much as they'll have to go for Champions League. So we'll see.
Fun
It'll
stuff.
be a fun game, I think. But I think, Arsenal should just be kind of. I'm really just hoping that, the little rough patch in form over the past month or so. The Wolves was like the final big slap in the face, and going from that straight into a North London derby and like dominating that in the way they did, I think hopefully Arsenal will just kind of build on that momentum and now just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, Arsenal doesn't really have to go against. After this Chelsea game, you have City, middle of April.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're kind of coasting.
Yeah,
Your schedule is really nice.
It's just that City game, which is also I think kind of nice to have that City game, because kind of regardless of what happens to the points here, unless there is a big swing, to have that game of we can go and kind of win it right there or lose it right there, I guess. But to have that option there, I think is kind of nice to have. I think as long as Arsenal can just kind of get back to somewhat that form that started the season where, teams weren't getting a shot on target and we weren't giving up goals late or immediately after scoring. It seems like the attack is kind of getting better. Gyökeres is scoring. Eze, we're just going to tell him every single game is you're playing against Spurs because that seems to be all he needs. But yeah, I think I'm feeling good about the run-in still. Like, obviously coming off a North London derby win is always you're on a high, but I don't see many teams really that should be standing in Arsenal's way. It should be, some will be hard, yes, but I think Arsenal should have the tools and ability to get past any of these teams.
I got a feeling we're going last match day, and titles decided. Come on, let's make it crazy. Let's make it interesting.
Give me like a fun, carefree last day. I can relax, have a little beer in hand, enjoy it.
I would love that for you. I just don't think City's going to go away.
No, yeah, I think they're going to.
And that's what's going to make it. That's what's going to make it interesting. I bet they will also drop points in this next game. 11 games. Yeah. I think Arsenal will too. I think everyone is probably going to against some team at some point. Yeah. I think that mid-April game against City is probably going to be your season decider. It's going to give you a little boost, or you're just going to be right inch away from them, and then it's going to come down to the final match day. That's bold prediction. But again, that's just the fan in me. And then you guys can win it on match. Hey, that's the most. If you want to win it on match day, man. Final match day. That's the most exciting.
It is, but stressful.
It is stressful. Yeah, I'll stress for you because I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be with you on that final match day. It is, when is that? Is it May 24th?
May 24th. Okay.
I'm gonna make sure
pencil it in.
Yeah, Sunday, May 24th. I'll hold your hand through it all.
Yeah, please. You're going to hold my hand on one side, Kristen's hand on the other side. It'll be great.
Yeah, or you might not want to hold. You might just get rid of me in the middle and just grasp onto each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. That's what y'all need to do. All right.
Good. We'll get through it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to end. As always, it's a pleasure. And hopefully next weekend we'll both be happy and come back together all smiles.
Oh, yeah.
Great. All right, chat. With that, Hooligans Pitch. We're out. Peace.